we said what is HRM, we meant that HRM fundamentally includes two things. One is talent acquisition, the other is talent retention. In the process, there are three major activities in HRM. One is procurement, the other is development, and the third is retention. So when you talk of procurement, this is almost synonymous to talent acquisition. But when you talk of the latter two, that means development and retention, these are more of talent retention part. And I said that if you scan HRM literatures now, you will find these are also known as employee engagement or talent retention, which are talent management, whichever name you say. Or in certain cases, for example, if you take a company like Wipro, they have this TED, TED. The abbreviation stands for talent engagement and development. So this is basically speaking what is HRM.
Sir, one question, sir, regarding development and retention, sir, what would be the difference between development and retention? Both are focusing on development of the employees.
Right. See, when we talk of development, it means on one side what we say training, education, learning. Though again there is a subtle difference between these four, training, education, development and learning, because training means you are trying to focus on immediate needs. Education means future needs. Development means job unrelated needs. See, when we talk of development, development is only not related to the job. Development, it could be related to the personality. It could be related to the attitude, individual. So development is all encompassing. And the other thing, learning, that means whatever efforts you have given, that might lead to learning, that might not lead to learning. So what is learning? It is any activity which leads to a relatively permanent change in behavior. Suppose your fuse has gone out at home and there is a power cut. Your fuse has gone out, there is a power cut. And you have called the electrician. Now, while the electrician is mending the fuse box, you are standing by his side. So next time, if there is such an occasion, that means power cut, will you be able to do the thing individually by your own? If you can do, that means on the earlier occasion, learning had taken place. But again, if we have to call the electrician, learning did not take place. So it is an activity which leads to a relatively permanent change in behavior. It's not absolute. For the time being, there will be a slight change. And it does not take place immediately. There is a step. So first we do not know, we are also ignorant, unconsciously incompetent. Then we become conscious, consciously incompetent. Then we become very agile, consciously competent. And finally you become so acclimatized with that activity. Even if you are thinking of something else, automatically it comes by way of reflex, that is unconsciously competent. So this is what is known as learning. Now this is the development part as such. Now how it differs from retention? When you are talking of retention, as I told you, now we say train or perish. That means it is mandatory for any organization to train and develop people. If we do not train and develop people, we have already seen the SHRM, the investment perspective. So if we do not invest in people, we would not derive competitive advantage. We would not derive cutting edge of our human resource over other organizations. So either train or perish. Now, ironically, there is a situation where you can train people, but these people will come and they may leave your organization. Now, then certain organizations may feel that training itself is a wastage of money. Because you have sent people for training and development, the person comes, either he or she is poached by another organization, or the person spontaneously leaves for greener pastures, better salary, better designation, etc. Now, what is retention? Retention is creating a culture, creating an ambience whereby the person would be more loyal to the organization.
So it's like engaging the employees in different sort of activities.
Exactly. That is why talent retention, employee engagement, these are synonymous. But these are different from development, because development is slightly, raising the bar. So we are now A, we become A+, so that is development. But when we are talking of retention, that means when we come to A+, we should have that inherent loyalty to the organization, so that organizations can retain people. The rate of attrition can be contained. See, attrition will always be there, but there has got to be a moderate amount of attrition. Generally 5 to 6% attrition is okay, because if you have 0% attrition, that is also bad. That means no fresh air is coming. But if you have 40% attrition rate, that means out of 100 people you are taking, 40 people leave at the end of the year, then your recruitment and selection costs get doubled. Your training and development costs get doubled. So when you talk of employee retention or talent retention, it is that mechanism which will help you to minimize your attrition rate. So that.
Sir, you were telling us that for retention, the development is necessary. So might not be the case, like some people might be running after money, then they don't need development, they just need the reward.
No, you see, probably there is a communication gap, what I encoded and what you decoded. I didn't really mean that for retention, development is necessary. There are certain people who by themselves would continue. You see, if you talk of achievement motivation, the concept of achievement motivation, people by themselves are 4 types. One could be people who are achievement oriented. So these people will always like to do something and, as you say, would like to be recognized for that. The other could be affiliation oriented people. People, chalo masti, we would like to be in a social group, affiliation oriented. The other could be power or influence oriented. They would like others to follow them. Whereas the 4th type of people would be security oriented. Now, coming back to your statement, observation, those people by themselves who are security oriented, whether you train them or whether you do not train them, that is what is now known, in HR literature, the stickiness factor. These people, the stickiness factor, they will continue to be there. Why? Because they have entered into the company's comfort zone. You see, I come from the pharma industry, and I was telling you perhaps the other day, a company by name Pfizer. See, if you work in Pfizer for 5 years, 6 years, you won't be prone to resign. Because by that time, you would have entered into your, within inverted commas, comfort zone, and perhaps no other company, at least in the same designation, would match your this remuneration package. So at that point of time, whether training or not training, the person will be retained or the person will stay on. But I was talking of a situation where you train people and they come back and put in their papers. They come back and resign. So at that point of time, retention strategies have got to be developed. So what is HRM? What is SHRM? How did the concept of HRM evolve? You remember the 4 steps in that flow chart. What are the 4 steps? First is scientific school. It is not really the onset of HR. Then is what is known as the functional school. Third one is the onset of HR. There is human relations school, Elton, Hawthorne effect, all those stuff. Finally now, behavioral school. So behavioral school, Douglas McGregor theory, X theory, Y, all these things, etc. So concept of HR and concept of SHRM, this is relatively new. Why this is relatively new? Because just like other, faculties, I am talking of departments, whether you talk of marketing as a faculty, finance as a faculty, etc., production and operations management, these are quantifiable. HR also desired to make its presence felt. HR also wanted to make itself quantifiable. And in the process, in order that HR can make itself quantifiable, the concept of SHRM evolved. So what is SHRM? SHRM essentially is a linkage between HR strategy and business strategy. When there is a linkage between the two, then at the end of the day, in terms of your financial bottom lines, you can definitely be tangible. You can definitely be quantifiable. You can say, when I joined the organization, the attrition rate was 20%. Now the attrition rate is 10%. So that is strategic HRM. In terms of retention strategies, you have been successful. So that is all about the introduction.